larger issue of people just not thinking critically these days, and stuff like ChatGPT and everything in between, like being able to instead of sitting down and learn, like taking the time and effort putting into like learning a skill like writing or drawing or creating music or anything like inherently creative is meaning that it means that you're missing out on something fundamental, I think, about being human, and that is embracing the imperfections that come with making something. I mean, if you look, okay, right, okay, maybe trying to find my way back up to my house and my base, but you can see like all this stuff that has been built, and it's a bad example. I'm not like a massive fucking forever world or whatever, but all the stuff that I've built, even if it's not perfect, like this little stairway, I built this to get out of the river because I didn't have a fucking thingy. And there's like blocks that I've misplaced. It's a bit wonky, but it's mine. Like I knew that I remember where I was at when I placed these blocks. I knew what I was doing, and I'm okay with the fact that it exists in an imperfect state. But these people don't think in that way. They don't think of creating something as an inherent skill that they can learn and embrace. They just think of it as like, well, I need to make money now. I need to do this. I need to do that. I want to, I want to succeed in life without actually doing anything of worth. And I think it's just sad that people are encouraged to do that. I mean, I'm not well off. I know for a fact I'm not well off. And, well, I would like my life to be better than it is now, sure. But in a way, it's a weird thing to say. I'm not trying to like fetishize struggling, right? But I think that having to work for something is so much more rewarding. It's so much more fulfilling than just having it available, right? Like I think, like if I was to start sketching a paint, if I was to start like making a painting, right, and the brush strokes were not perfect, but they were mine. Like people look at like Van Gogh, for example, and I'm not okay, right? I am not comparing myself to Van Gogh, but I'm using it as an example, okay, right? So when Van Gogh was alive, or Van Gogh, I don't know how you pronounce his name, but when Van Gogh was alive, nobody liked his paintings, right? Everyone thought they were ugly, they were disgusting, and they weren't in sign with the times. They weren't something that the people of his time appreciated. But after he died, after he took his own life, people started to appreciate his paintings because of the imperfections, because of the things that only he could put to paper or canvas in a sense. And to me, that speaks not to the fact that nobody will appreciate this Minecraft world until I'm dead, but more so in the sense of like I'm happy with the fact this is not perfect. I'm happy with the things that I do not being perfect. I'm happy with if I'm writing something. I'm happy if a sentence doesn't sound right and I want to go back and change it. Yeah, practice makes perfect. But the thing is, people think that perfection exists. Perfection does not exist. Perfection is not something that you can achieve. It's something you chase. Any skill, for example, any cooking, you could become a Michelin star chef. You could make Marco Pierre White shit his pants every time you enter a building, right? But you're always going to find there's pieces to the thing you can't do. Like say you're amazing at cooking steak, right? Every steak you create is just phenomenal, right? It's cooked perfectly all the way through. It's perfectly seasoned, everything in between, right? But you can't bake for shit. You cannot make a cookie that is as good as somebody else's cookie, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Perfection is not a real thing. Of course, you can master the craft of what you're trying to perfect. Exactly, and you should chase that, knowing that perfection doesn't exist. You should chase it anyway. I think, like, for me, when I started writing, I write creatively more than anything else. I write with other people. I do a back and forth kind of thing. Um, and when I first started, I was absolutely dog shit, genuinely just miserable at it. Obviously, it's like I could structure sentences. I didn't have ChatGPT back in the day, so I had to rely upon my own brain for a change. But I've chased the enjoyment of learning how to write more effectively learning how to utilize words in a more cohesive manner, learning how to structure narrative elements, characters, like building personalities, creating them, fleshing people out, coming up with plot lines, everything in between, just as a means of having fun with something. And that's part of the process, is that if you're sitting down and making a piece of art that even if you know isn't perfect, like I'm not gonna hang this picture of a stick figure up on the Louvre, but I had fun writing, I had fun creating it, right? That is what art is about. That is about, that's what it should be about. That is something that people should kind of pay more attention to, rather than just being like, well, I'm going to sit down and generate this piece of, art that, yeah, fundamentally it looks professional in the sense of like, yes, it's got, the line art is balanced, the expression is readable, but it's not personal. The banana, isn't that the one they sellotaped to a fucking wall and then called it like a piece of art? I think, isn't that not like postmodern art? I'm sure that's like postmodern and stuff like that, but postmodern I don't get, right? People, I think it's just the fucking, to me that's pretentiousness. I think that's pretentious to be believing in like, oh yeah, well, art can be whatever I mean, so I'm going to make it meaningless. Like, no, art is about creating something that only exists in your head and being able to share it with the world. And if it's shit, nobody likes it, whatever, right? You still shared it with the world, even if you didn't like it, or even if they didn't like it. Sorry, because it was your idea and you felt compelled to share it. Like, for me, right? Okay, let's for an example, right? Think of Star Wars, right? Like the original fucking Star Wars stuff. Like I've grew up with it, know all about it. Well, not know all about it, but like know a significant portion of it. And what George Lucas did was he took concepts from other films like Akira Kurosawa, the fucking like Flash Gordon serials and stuff like that. He took those concepts, these elements, and meshed them together in a unique way, and then created one of the largest film franchises on planet Earth, if not the largest. And you won't get that with AI. AI can regurgitate information that already exists, but it cannot reformat information that already exists, if that makes sense. Like I could, like, from like me and you, right? We could we could listen to the exact same song and get a very different reaction from it. Or we could watch a movie and have a very different lesson imparted on us at the end of the time, because that's our interpretation. Art is in the same way, where it's how you interpret something is entirely down to you. How you choose to share yourself with the planet is entirely yours as well. So, if I'm sitting here in my room yapping into a microphone while playing Minecraft, in essence, I'm doing something that nobody else can, because even if even if I'm not the only streamer or whatever, I am doing something that is my voice, sharing my thoughts and feelings, broadcasting myself to the world, even if it's only for the people watching. Because that, to me, is more important than selling out, making some massive fucking, piece of money from doing the most basic, bland, Mr. Beast shit imaginable. Like, people should learn to embrace the rough edges of people creating stuff online. And it's sad to think that people are not encouraged to do the same thing. It's like pop music all sounds the fucking same these days. And it might just be I'm old, and I might just be like, I don't like this stuff. I can't really gel with these artists that exist these days. But I don't like it because they're very clearly chasing the fame for the money rather than the art itself. Like, you look back to bands back in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that, and there were a lot of people out there who were making money off of making like generic pop music, and that's fine. But a lot of people, like a lot of these bands, like, Led Zeppelin, bands like that, were once just a bunch of friends in college sharing a fucking passion for music, and it erupted into something worthwhile for them. And I think people want to emulate that, but they don't really understand the reason as to why these people got famous in the first place. And it wasn't because they sold. I mean, they might have sold it at some point. I don't know the exact story of every single person on who makes content, right? But specialize in promoting Twitch channels. I am not visiting your fucking websites, bro. Leave me alone. But it's just this sense of thinking that the world is turning towards filmmaking process. Alien 1979. Exactly. See, that's the thing as well. Fucking like practical effects as well. Like I'm okay with CGI. I think CGI can be done well, right? It obviously can be like Avatar and stuff like that. But people like the miniature models they used for like the original Star Wars and like, Alien and all that stuff. Like what's it called? What's the Stanley Kubrick film called? Very famous. I actually don't know the name of it off the top of my head. The I forget. 2001: A Space Odyssey. All the fucking like models were all built by hand. I like the text crawl for Star Wars. The original one was cut out by hand. It was stenciled out and then cut out and then dragged over the camera. You don't get that these days. Or like Jackie Chan doing his own stunts, yeah, stuff like that. True craftsmanship, and it was, it wasn't perfect, sure, but you see videos of like new movies that are coming out, and they all feel really soulless. They feel void of something. Like something's not quite right with them. They're missing, and it's usually down to the fact Hollywood is like, oh, I want, this much money by the end of this fucking quarter or whatever, and it turns into like really cheap alternatives that kind of discredit the whole concept of making films in the first place, rather than it being a passion project put on by it's like I think it's why like people in the gaming industry like indie games an awful lot. Like for me, I play on Xbox, right? So everything that you see online, all these popular games you see on the store or whatnot are approved by Microsoft, I think is the way that it goes. So all of the games that you see online, and I'm not discrediting people who like these games. Like if you can like what you want, but for me personally, it's seeing a trend of heavily commercialized, soulless cash grab games getting pushed to the forefront. The cheap production, the technology makes it easy, and the creativity is gone. Exactly. But you'll see these games that are chucked on and commercialized and so on and so forth. And like, what was that? Like the new Call of Duty game that came out, and it was like they used AI to make part of the campaign or something. Or it was like it's online only. I watched a YouTuber called Bricky. I think it was Black Ops 7. I don't know anything about Call of Duty, but I think it was Black Ops 7. It was the newest one, and it was like they used AI to write parts of the campaign for them, or like fill in for voice actors, because they just didn't want to hire people or something. I don't know the exact story, but I remember watching a YouTube video about it, and it just made me. It baffled me because it's like what I don't understand is you have people who are very clearly working on this game, and you'll have these executives that are wanting to make as much money as possible. Well, 2 seconds. I have to answer a phone call. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Like, I've never played Call of Duty. Well, I played Black Ops 1, and that was it. I had fun with that, but I don't really. I've always been more into Battlefield personally. Um, but anyway,